welcome to Childfree for Life. Would you like to start with a little bit of introduction, where you're from, how old you are?
So my name is Simeon Elizabeth Victoria, and I'm a Nigerian, and I live in Nigeria. And I think I'll identify as atheist. That is, I believe there's a God, but I'm not really a Christian.
Is
I'm
your
27 years old. I'm 27 years old. I'll be 28 in few months.
is your family religious?
Yes, they are religious. Like we go to church. They go to church, especially. I stopped going to church often. I only go to church sometimes so I can dress up. And then they're religious. They pray every morning and every night. That's morning devotion
Mm-hmm.
and night devotion. And yeah, they are religious, but not just they are not fanatic like most people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're religious and also superstitious. Yeah.
Do you think your family and your childhood impacted your decision to have children or not wanting children?
I can't say so. I think I just no, really, it didn't impact my wanting children. Rather, I think it's just a personal mentality or personal preference that I don't want children. I have two older siblings and they are interested in having children. One is currently pregnant and the other one, she's interested in having children. In fact, she
Mm-hmm.
says if she do not find a husband, she's going to just get pregnant. Like that's how interested she is in children. But for me, I'm not interested in children at all. Even if I was paid to do it, I still will not be interested. And concerning my childhood was pretty okay. We were like poor, but
Mm-hmm.
not we didn't have difficulty with food. I had a doll that I'll say many of my mates didn't have. It was quite expensive for that time, and for our situation, that doll was expensive. So I'll say my child was pretty good because I had clothes, I had shoes, I and in our country, it is very very common for parents to pay our education fees from primary to university. And me, I did from nursery school, that is pre-primary school, from nursery school to university, and my parents sponsored me all through. Unlike many countries where students have to take school loans and stuff like that, we in our
Mm-hmm.
country, it is in fact uncommon for parents to not take care of their children's school, although it happens. But so I'm like saying my child was very good, and I'm the youngest of three daughters. So I didn't parent anybody. I didn't have to parent anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
and I did not have any trauma. If at all, any trauma I experienced was when I was quite grown and it was outside my home. It was when I was in school and other stuff that I experienced trauma. So I had nothing to make me not want kids. If at all, following the way it was, I think I actually have reasons to have children, but I just decided not to.
So when would be the first time that you realized you didn't want to have children?
Um, if I actually think back, is that I've always not wanted children since I was very young. Just that I didn't sit down to really consciously think about it because one, we're not expected to be thinking about children. Like our parents did not groom. My parents did not groom me to want children like that early stage. We were not thinking. My parents were more interested in telling us focus on your school, focus on graduating from school and getting a job. And my dad had this personal vow that he must make sure his children, his daughter, finish university. So it was like a personal challenge he took upon himself. He wanted us to finish our university. So we were not even supposed to be talking about having kids. But
Mm-hmm.
the standard way they train children to be wives. Like sometimes when I was very rough, like compared to the way they expect girls to behave and the way boys to behave. So I was basically behaving like boys. I climb trees, I climb fence,
Mm-hmm.
I fight. Yeah, I fought a lot. So I fight with boys and I beat up a lot of boys. So I was not the typical girl. And but one thing I'm very sure of, one thing I know is all the time I was very young, I kept saying I don't want to have children. Instead, I was saying because I could not just say I did not want children. So I used to say I'm going to adopt children. I do not want to have children. And if I must have children, that's what I kept saying. If I must have children, I'm going to adopt children. And I used to believe I was going to be very rich and I'm going to adopt children from different parts of the world. But
Mm-hmm.
well, I didn't become rich. I'm very poor and broke. So yeah, I used to say I'm going to adopt 21 children. I was
Wow.
yeah, the reason why I wanted to adopt 21 children was a football team. I was like, I want to have a football team and 11 substitutes. That was the whole essence of 21 children. So from the whole beginning, I wasn't interested in nurturing children per se because I kept saying it. And I'll be like, some are going to be doctors, some are going to be soldiers, some are going to be engineers. Like, you're going to find every profession in my house. Like I was more interested in like you get I wasn't thinking like the typical parents. I was thinking more like a manager, something like that. So I think from a very young age I knew about feminism even without knowing what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I had a self-awareness that made me know what I can and what I can't do. So oftentimes, and that's one unique thing my parents liked about me. So if someone was trying to make me do something and I say, I'm not going to do it no matter what you do, at that point, my parents know there's, even if you're going to beat me from now till a year from now, I'm not going to change my mind. So they already know that. So, and that's one thing I know about myself too. And oftentimes I am very imaginative. So I picture things in my head. I picture myself doing things. And if I'm not able to create a picture of something, it means that thing is not, it's like my brain can't take it. So, and whenever I'm trying to picture something, I get this headache that stays for long. And if I keep pushing myself to think about it, the headache keeps increasing. So later on, I was able to learn that they call it math anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So that anxiety actually, I could never picture myself being a mother. I could never picture myself getting pregnant. And whenever I try picturing it, it gives me this very serious headache. I just say, okay, I just say when we get there, I'm going to like, when we get to that bridge, I'll cross it. But in 2021, I got into a relationship and it was a pretty serious relationship. So we were talking about getting married, having kids. But one thing I noticed was every time we are talking about kids, I had this fear in me. Like I wasn't voicing it out, but I had that fear because I couldn't imagine myself repeating that routine of taking care of a child every day. And I'm really not someone who likes routine. So I couldn't picture myself being a mother, repeating that process every time more
Mm-hmm.
than 1 month. And so it gives me this terrible headache. So when we were talking about that, we found out we had a genotype in issue. Yes. And medically, we are not supposed to reproduce. So we were like, we had to break up because love is not enough. We cannot imagine bringing children to this world to suffer. So we had to
Mm-hmm.
break up. I was very sad about losing the relationship because he was this kind of guy who ticked a lot of boxes for me. But inside of me, I was relieved that we're not going to have children.
Yeah.
And I kept telling him, can't we just stay together and decide not to have children?
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, I need to have children. I was like, he couldn't hear of it because he's a typical African man and he's an only child. So he's an only child, and the mom had an issue, so they had to remove her uterus. So it's like the burden of having grandchildren to continue his family lineage is on him.
Mm.
And his dad is late, so the mom too, she can't have any other children. So he's the only child. So I was like, okay, if we must have children, how about let's adopt? But the truth is, many Africans do not really consider adopted children as children enough to continue their lineage. So
Mm.
we had that issue. But inside of me, I cried when we had to break up. But inside of me, I was very, very relieved that we are not going to have children, because
Yeah.
during the time we were dating, he had a dog with him for 1 week. And that period, I had to, just 2 days, I had to take care of that dog for 2 days. And I really understood then that no, I cannot be a mother. When I tell the dog, stay in this area, the dog don't want to stay. The dog wants to stay on the bed. The dog wants to stay on the bed with us. And I was like, no, you cannot be on the bed. Stay down here. The dog wants to stay on the ground. He don't want to stay on the floor. He wants to be uh on the bed. Those 2 days really taught me what I've known all along, but really didn't sit down to think about. And the funny thing is, this guy kept sending me articles upon articles on the effect of motherhood on women, effect
Oh
of
boy.
pregnancy on women. Like,
Oh
he was
no.
literally helping me to make my decision. Yet he
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that was what he was doing. So I didn't really I was kind of happy that we've broken up. I was very, very relieved that we've broken up, because after we found out our genotype issue in May, we dragged the relationship until October, because I was trying to convince him not to have children just so we can stay together, but he wanted children. And at a point, I was like, really, I shouldn't make this guy have children, because I have siblings and they are willing to have children. He's an only child and he feels he needs to continue his family. So I thought about it. I was like, it would be very selfish to make him not have children. So I just kind of decided in my mind that it's best I let him go. One thing is, I always was very scared, even though I kept using protection whenever I was sexually active. I was always very conscious because I did not want to get pregnant at all. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even though I used protection, I was still very scared. And if my period delay even one day, I'll get very nervous and I'll start getting
Mm-hmm.
worried, because I was like, in my mind, I'll be like, if there's pregnancy, I'm going to abort it. If there's pregnancy, I'm going to abort it. Like, that's what I kept thinking. I was like, I'm going to abort it. So, but I won't say it, but in my mind, I'm telling myself that's what I'm going to do if it happens. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
even tell the guy. I'm just going to secretly do it,
Mm-hmm.
because I cannot imagine myself being a mother. So when all that happened, it made me sit down to really think about myself, my life, because I was like, if I should get into another relationship where we are compatible, I do not want to start discussing this in the relationship. I want to figure out my life. So I sat down, I really thought about it, and I was like, and I realized that all along, I wasn't interested in having children the way many people are. Even I thought if I wanted children, I wanted them as a football team. And that was why I was instead trying to adopt them. I wanted to adopt for two reasons. I felt like, one, helping humanity, and secondly, football team. Those were the only two reasons I had. Those were the only two reasons for having children. And that period too, I was doing lessons for two children, and they were under five. That's under 5 years old. And every time I finished class with them, I had this terrible headache because of the trying to teach them. And naturally, I'm an very patient person. Impatient. In fact, I'm barely patient with myself. I'm not very patient with adults. So I thought about it and I was like, I can barely tolerate adults who already know their left from their right and who behave well. How much more little children who you need to teach everything? And during
Mm-hmm.
that period where I was teaching children lesson, I realized I I really don't like children and I can't tolerate them and I cannot teach them because I expect them to learn the way I expect an adult to learn. And that is impossible. So I really had a lot of thinking and I kept telling that my ex-boyfriend that I'm not going to have children. He probably thought I was saying it because of the whole genotype issue. So one day I told him and I was like, I've thought about it and I've decided that I won't have children. I'm not going to have children. And he flipped out. Like we're not even together anymore. We were not dating. We were just friends and we just automatically switched back to casual friends where we did not even talk about anything sexual. We didn't talk as if we dated before. We just talked as if we were casual friends. He flipped out and he was very disrespectful the way I've never experienced before. He insulted me. He told me I was very proud. He told me I was wishing other women would be like me. He told me it was me being a fanatical feminist and I was trying to make every woman hate men and not have children. And the funny thing was his behavior actually made me say I did well. I felt like the way he reacted, I feel like if I make a decision for myself and a man is not happy about it, then it means I've made a very good decision because a typical African man, a typical Nigerian man is a very their in fact their misogyny is so terrible. Like everything about them is man, man, man. In fact, if you
Hmm.
give birth to girls, they tell you like, you have girls, like your children are not complete yet until you have a male child. They feel like girls are not really children until you actually have a male child. So I felt like I said, if this man is this angry about my decision, then I really, really made a good decision.
Hmm.
I didn't even know the word child free then. I did not know the word child free existed. I just used to say I don't want children. So because I made posts on Facebook and I talked about not wanting children, Facebook started suggesting child free groups to me. And that was how I learned the word child free. That was how I got to find out there's the word child free and the definition. And I started checking about it. And when I joined the group, I realized like, oh my God, there are many people like me.
Yeah.
I realized there are many people like me, and I was like, oh, there are people who do not want children. Like they've decided they do not want children. And I joined them, but they were mostly foreigners because the idea of being child free is not very common in Africa, in Nigeria precisely. And although there are many people who do not want children, but because of upbringing and because of the society, they end up having children. And even people do not want children, they dare not say it out loud. Like it's like a taboo for a woman or even a man to say, I do not want children. Because if you get married and you don't have children, people even use it to insult you. They insult you, and
Mm.
it's very, very hard for the women because they insult them. When I started talking about it, some people used to be like, some people are like, no, you've watched too much American movies. People tell me I've watched too much American movies. That was why I think I don't want children. And people are like, no, you are not ready yet. If you find a husband, you are going to have children. I was like, even if and when I decided to be child free, I also made the conscious effort that I wasn't really interested in marriage. I was just like,
Mm.
but I decided that I'm only 10% open to marriage, only if the man do not want children as well. So people tell me, you watch too much American movies, or you've read too much American books, or this feminism thing, you are taking it too much. This feminism thing have got into your head. But like, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm not an introvert yet. I'm not an extrovert. So I think I'm ambivert. That's what they call it, right? Like I adjust to, I'm
A bit of both.
naturally quiet. I prefer to be quiet and have my peace, which is one of the reasons I don't want children. Children will disturb my peace. I do not want the shout. When children cry, their noise pierces my brain. Like it gives me the same effects. You know, when electronics, there's this thing electronics get distorted, like sometimes a microphone screams and it
Mm-hmm.
pierces your brain. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's as if someone is scratching your brain. Like, when you scratch your nails on a chalkboard, yeah,
Chalkboard. Yeah.
that effect it gives your brain. That the same effect children crying gives me, and it really, really annoys me. Africa, we have this mentality of it takes a community to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
So if your child is misbehaving, if a child is sorry, not your child, if a child is misbehaving, uh me as a stranger, I can actually shout at your child. Like, I can discipline them while the mom is there. And sometimes she will be like, oh, thank you, thank you. I'm tired of shouting at this child. Why some they'll be like, the child is familiar with the mom. So, children sometimes when they are familiar with the mom, when the mom shout at them to stop something, they won't stop because they keep laughing, doing that thing they are doing. But when a stranger shout at them, they fear and they run back to their mom and they stop what they are doing. So it is actually acceptable in my country for a stranger to shun a child who is
Mm.
misbehaving. The mom will not get angry, and the mom will be like, the mom will actually thank you, because the mom is like, I'm trying to control this child, the child is refusing to be controlled, so thank you for helping me shout at the child, and now the child is behaving themselves. So strangers help a mom who is trying to discipline their child and the child is misbehaving. They help the mom to shout at the child or discipline the child, so the child, out of fear, stop misbehaving and run to their mom from protection. So it's
How
actually
it
quite
works.
acceptable. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
actually works because I have a very loud voice. And so sometimes when children are behaving, I scream at them and the children run. And the mom will laugh, or the mom will say, thank you very much. I've been trying to tell him to
Wow.
stop. And so, yeah. So don't let your child get bad now, because they are helping you to train this child. Just that the truth is, some people take it extreme. Discipline, the way we discipline children here sometimes can be very abusive. Like over here,
Mm.
we believe in flogging children. We believe in fact, not just flogging children, beating children. Like, you can see a parent beat a child so bad that they'll have bruises all over them.
Mm. Could you tell me what brings you joy about being child free?
I think what brings me joy about being child free is the fact that I'm not responsible for any human. There are a lot of things. Our society is, my own society, like the whole world is really terrible nowadays, but it's just as if it's worse in my own side of the world. And I cannot imagine myself bringing a child into this society where a child can turn up dead anytime. It's a very fearful world. And I'm really glad I made that decision. I made my decision on me not wanting children per se, like, because I can't handle it. I don't want to handle it. Before, I now have other reasons like climate change, the world is terrible, the world is fearful, and other things and stuff like that. And I'm very poor. I'm very poor. I'm still trying to better life for myself. As growing up in a poor society, in a poor family, in a poor everything, because of me and my sisters going to school, we do not have a decent house.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still trying to give myself some things. I feel the kind of life we never lacked food. We never lacked shelter. We never lacked clothing. But I still feel these are below standard for me. I don't see the joy of having to literally sacrifice everything, including standard house, like the most basic level of accommodation, just to train children. I feel like I feel like I get to keep any money I get without sharing it
Yeah.
with anyone. So yeah, I think I'm kind of enjoying being selfish. I'm really not interested in going above 50 years. I feel
Mm.
like 50 years is long life. And what's in the world to enjoy aside from food and biscuits? I love food. So aside from biscuits and food and drinks, what's really here? There's nothing else to enjoy. If you browse about deaths in Nigeria, you are really going to be scared, because, like, you live every day knowing that the part of the society you live in as a poor person, you might die anytime, not natural death, but someone might kill you anytime. And it's really not a life worth living for that long. So if I had the money right now, and if I have the opportunity to get permanent sterilization and I'm interested in getting hysterectomy, if I get the money now, like right now, I'm going to do it. Like that is how firm I am about being child free. I think my instincts are very strong, and I like listening to them. Even my instincts have literally saved my life before. I tend to listen to them very well. I think I took that from my mom. She have very strong instinct, and most time if she tells us her instinct says we shouldn't do something, we don't do it. And later we see reasons why we see reason why we made a good decision not doing it. When I decided to be child free, I also decided, more like I also accepted that I will not be married. The possibility of me being married is very low, except I leave my country. Except I leave
Mm.
my country before I'll find someone who is like-minded. And so far, I've not dated anybody since 2021, because every other person I've known, they want children. So how I do in featuring this, I don't even discuss the child free. What I do is, when we are talking and I see this person is trying to flirt with me and this person is talking about hinting on relationship, I stylishly ask them, how many number of kids will you like? And many of them answer the question, because I figure that is the best way to get correct answer from someone. Because sometimes when people know you are child free, they say things they think you want
You
to
want to
hear. So
hear.
they say things, yeah, they say things to please you by pretending they don't want children too, just so they'll
Mm-hmm.
date you and maybe later they'll break up and leave you. So from beginning, I asked them, how many kids will you like? Like, how will you want your kids? And people start saying, I want two girls and one boy, or two boys and one girl. And then I tell them, that's unfortunate, because me, I'm not interested in having children. And then they like saying, why? And they start questioning me, and I'm like, well, it's my personal decision. I just don't want them. And obviously, we cannot work together. And that will be the end. You wanting children means we are not compatible. We are going to have to break up later. Since being an adult, I've understood that I can decide whatever I want. If I don't want to get
Mm-hmm.
married, I don't have to. Yeah. So far, I haven't found anybody, and that's although I haven't been actively looking, because I basically accepted the fact that it will be hard, in fact, difficult for me to find a child free man. And true to it, so far, the only child free man I've even found in Africa are not even in my country. And it's only two guys I found. Found some groups too in Africa who do not want children, but majority are women, because
Mm.
women are beginning. We are talking about it, and I have a lot of people in my space, or my in my online space, who also do not want children, and we are being very vocal about it. So many women are realizing that they have the option of not wanting children. So there are more women and less and fewer men. But even if I meet a child-free man, we have the geographical limitation and the
Mm.
financial differences. So that also play a part in me being single. And while I'm very, very okay with being single, because I actually prefer being single, I'm 10% open to a relationship with a child-free man, only if the man is child-free and sterilized at well. And sincerely, I have a personal bias. If I found a Nigerian man who is child-free, I'm not going to believe him.
Mm.
So
That's
that is a
tough.
personal bias, because everything in our society, everything in our culture says you have to have children. And many men, even though they do not want children on their own, they want to fulfill the society. So they feel they should just give birth to a child. They should just have a child for having it. And because they are not the one who is going to be responsible for nurturing this child, they tend to do it. But later they keep saying, I really do want to have children, but let me just have children to take care of me. So when I find men Nigerian men who say they are child free. I do not even believe them. So far, I've only had men from Childfree group reaching out to me saying, "Oh my God, you're an African and you do not want children." I'm surprised. They are quite surprised. The same way I'll be surprised to find them. They're surprised that they're surprised to find me in Childfree group. And because I'm very outspoken about it, they see that I'm very firm about it. So
Thank you so much for sharing, Simeon. It was lovely to meet you.
yeah, it's it too.